Malcolm's Praise Live 365 has a first interview with ABC News correspondent and best-selling author Linsey Davis. The World is Awake and One Big Heart are just two of the beautiful books that she has written and that parents and grandparents can share with their little ones to let them know how very special they are. Also, she is my cousin. Please welcome to Malcolm's Praise Live 365, Linsey Davis.
Malcolm, I'm so glad to be with you.
Thanks for doing this, Linsey.
It's my pleasure, Malcolm. Seeing your smile.
I saw you on The View promoting your first children's book. My first question is, how did you get inspired to write such great children's books?
So I have a 7-year-old son, and when I was reading books to him as a baby, I was thinking, boy, I could do this, and I want to do this, and I need to do this, because I started realizing as he was getting older that it was hard to find books with characters who look like him. As a young Black boy, I felt like it was really important for him to see his own image reflected in the pages of the books that he was reading. And because I wasn't finding so many books like that, I decided rather than complain about it, let me be a part of the solution and write books myself to create the character and fill the need that I felt was out there.
I write books because I feel that God has given me that calling. I feel that the crazy times we live in also impacts me in such a way that I have to write about it. My second question has two parts. How do you think your son and other children whose age are impacted by reading your books? And do you think reading your books will help them understand that although everyone's different, there are things that everyone has in common?
Yes. So my second book in particular, well, let me do my first book, The World is Awake, a celebration of everyday blessings, was just because I wanted my son to know God for himself. And I felt that this was a gentle introduction to my son and other young people and parents who are like-minded and wanted their own children to get that gentle introduction to who God is and his creation and us. And so that was the first book, was very intentional to make sure that my son would get that foundation in faith, because that has been and continues to be so important to me. And with the second book, One Big Heart, a celebration of being more alike than different, I felt, again, that was a very specific message catered to my son that I feel that other children could really benefit from. And that is that as much as our skin is different, our hair is different, our features are different, our beliefs are different, our likes and dislikes are different, that in the end, God gave us all the same thing, the most important part, which is one big heart. And that's most important because that's where the love starts. And that if we really think about who we are as human beings, and even the Human Genome Project suggests that 99.9% of our DNA is all the same. And so we have a lot more in common than we do that separates us. And so it's just a matter of what we choose to focus on. And I feel that especially for young kids, it's important, especially in this divisive time where we're often talking about race and racism, that children have those conversations early on and realize how similar they are and the common ground that they have with their friends and with strangers.
In your books, The World is Awake and One Big Heart. How did your son inspire you to write the book?
My son basically was, first of all, when he was 2, I think, or just about to be 3, and had learned how to talk. And one question, we were driving the car one day and he said, Mommy, does God open up the flowers? And I loved that question. I love that he was thinking about God and thinking about nature and God's creations. And so I had already thought that I wanted to write a book, but when I wasn't sure what I wanted to write about. So when he asked me that question, that was the inspiration for what the storyline was going to be about. Trying to really answer that question and who God is and what he creates. And the next one was when we were watching the news and there were the black men who were arrested at the Philadelphia Starbucks, and my son saw it, and I thought he was just playing with his Legos and not paying attention at all. And he said, why did the police arrest those black men? Why did they take them to jail? And I thought, oh my goodness, he's already thinking about this and seeing this, and he's going to be hearing it and feeling it as a black male growing up in this society that still does judge quite often, in many cases, on the color of your skin. And so I wanted to kind of address that in a way that would be age appropriate for young minds and young children who were, this was an attempt to kind of counter the messaging that is in the world all around them.
Linsey, I want to ask these next questions because they touch on the topic of diversity. Do you think that George Floyd's murder was a wake-up call for the world, and especially for America? I think it was because it touched people across different races and our emotions, which is the thing all humans have in common. What are your thoughts as a writer who has written about diversity? You may not be able to answer this next question, but do you think the George Floyd police bill or something similar to that bill will ever become law?
I do. I mean, when we hear from, Senator Booker and Senator Tim Scott, who are working on that bill, they seem to be optimistic that it is going to pass. And so, they are the ones who are actually in the room and working on it and trying to compromise. And I think that, both of them as black men in America are aware of, some of the racial disparities and injustices within criminal justice. And how, black men and boys die at a disproportionately higher number than white men and boys. And so, clearly something has to be done. I'm hopeful that this will be one of maybe only even a few bipartisan policies that they're able to enact and implement sooner than later. And I also think, to your first question, that George Floyd was a wake-up call for many non-Black Americans. I mean, Black Americans already were aware of, driving while Black or whatever the scenarios may be that cause us to be incarcerated at a higher rate than our white counterparts. And so I think that it was seeing that video that was just so powerful and difficult to watch. I think it made people feel uncomfortable. And I think it took that, unfortunately, for many people to wake up to that idea of injustice and cruelty, that unusual punishment. So we'll see what it means later. Just a little while ago, many people, commemorated the 1 year later point after the death of George Floyd on May 25th. And let's just see what happens beyond that. That is this some, momentum that continues to grow and build, or is it going to be forgotten about? And at some point, just a footnote in the history books, like an Emmett Till kind of story.
Linsey, as a correspondent for ABC News, what do you think is needed to bring our divided nation together?
Conversation. I think that just like when people are having difficulty in life, sometimes they go to a therapist just to talk it out. Sometimes it just helps just to kind of explore your feelings and have that exchange with someone else who's able to maybe show you a different perspective or point of view. And I think that the more dialogue that we can have, the more conversation and discussion that we can have, that explains just, to some people who only are listening to their group. Quite often I think that there are white people who only say certain things to white people, and Black people who only say certain things to Black people, and Asians or whatever. In every different group, sometimes there are these biases and prejudices that they get further perpetuated because you're only talking to people of one like mind or same experience. And so I think that the more that we're able to explore our differences and our similarities, I think that we're going to be better, because quite often, you fear what you don't know. And so if you don't have friends who are of a different religion or friends who are of a different race, and sometimes there's that fear of the unknown, and you never get to know it because you fear it. And I think that the more that we have these, I think that was one of the positives in the wake of George Floyd, is that, the majority of the protesters were not Black. And so you had this outrage from a group that was not really directly impacted by it. And that is often the impetus for change.
Linsey, I want my legacy to reflect that despite my physical challenges, I have been able to live a full life and encourage others to be all that they can be. What do you want your legacy to be?
Boy, I hope that the best is still in front of me. And so I can't yet say what I'd want to be remembered for, but I hope that I'm written in, that Lamb's Book of Life. I hope that that's really what I think about, is that that God will see me as a good and faithful servant, as a disciple, and who tried to do good and love and be kind and be merciful. And I enjoy being a mentor. I enjoy when people tell me that their little girls are able to watch me on the news and be inspired about what their possibilities are for the future. That does my soul good. But I don't know yet, Malcolm. I don't know what I just yet what I want my legacy to be. But I just know that I hope that that more than people, that I find favor with the Lord.
Linsey, tell the people how to order your books and give your social media information so people can follow you.
Sure. So you can find, I have 3 books that are out now. The World is Awake, One Big Heart, and Stay This Way Forever. All of them are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can find them wherever books are sold. On Instagram, I'm Linsey T. Davis. That's Linsey T. Davis. And on Twitter, it's at Linsey Davis. Again, Linsey Davis. And thank you so much, Malcolm. What a blessing you are. What an inspiration you are. I just, I have such a heart for, what you're doing, and not allowing, cerebral palsy to in any way stop you. Keep going, and keep, whatever people might tell you your limitations are, don't listen to them. Don't listen, keep going. And and be undeterred and know that, you have favor with our Father. And I hope that you're able to fulfill your legacy and beyond. God has a way of dreaming bigger dreams for us than we have for ourselves. He's able to do more than we could ask or imagine. And so I'm inspired by you, Malcolm. I appreciate you. May God continue to bless you.
Linsey, thanks for coming to Malcolm's Praise Live 365. You can come back anytime.
Thank you. I'd like to. And send me a link when you're finished, when this is posted, okay?
Thanks for watching Malcolm's Praise Live 365 on YouTube. If you want me to interview you, please email me at mjphillips471@gmail.com or inbox me on facebook.com/malcolmspraise, twitter.com/malcolms_praise. Listen to Malcolm's Praise Live 365 always at player.live365.com/8333199. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, like, share, and stay encouraged.
All right, Malcolm. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. I'll talk to you soon.